So if the £58 million release clause or Osimhen's wage demands, probably starting at around £11 or £12 million a season, are just out of United's budget for this summer, who could be some alternatives, considering that I think United could probably get £38 million for Højlund, which would mean that he wouldn't go down as a loss on the books. Well, for a similar price, Gyökeres would be my alternative, but let's say price is the issue and he's too expensive. We also have Sesko, who probably falls into this category, who in terms of current ability I think is a level below Gyökeres and Osimhen, but I definitely think his potential might be higher. The question is, how long does it take for him to develop into that striker? If it's one season, then maybe the reported £62 million fee that RB Leipzig are demanding maybe becomes a bit more bearable, and whilst it is possible, it's definitely not certain that he does reach that level either, particularly in that time frame. So if we weren't getting Gyökeres or Osimhen, you'd probably have to give Sesko a miss as well. Hugo Ekitike, who was an option I suggested a few weeks back and has been recently linked with United, is probably going to have his price tag inflated by the summer, probably costing in excess of £50 million, which I think is maybe £5 to £10 million overpriced. His versatility and varied skill set does maybe make the fee understandable, as he can play in any of the three forward positions in Amorim's front line. Statistically, he fits the bill as well. 80 to 90th percentile range for his non-penalty goals and non-penalty XG, the mid 90th percentiles for his XG assisted and successful take-ons, alongside the low 90th percentile for his progressive carries. And so Ekitike is definitely someone that I could see coming in and having the sort of impact that Alexander Isak has had at Newcastle. But at the moment, for over £50 million, you do have to start to ask the question, are there better options depending on United's budget? But before I go any further, if you want to check out any cheap, good quality football jerseys, go over to jerseyfifa.co. You can check out their current season and retro shirts from both international and club sides. My personal favourite jersey of all time is also available on the site, is this 2006-2007 Manchester United home jersey. It's from the year where Ronaldo won his first Premier League title and also the PFA Player of the Year. From the exact same season, you can also get this Kaká AC Milan shirt, with this year being the year that Kaká would win the Ballon d'Or ahead of both Messi and Ronaldo. If you use coupon code Atlantis at checkout, you will get a discount for a limited time, so I'll leave it linked in the description and in the comments section below. So if alongside Højlund, United also decided to sell Garnacho for around £60 million, then Hugo Ekitike and Matheus Cunha would be close to the top of my list for potential replacements. Cunha has a release clause of £62.5 million. I don't think Ekitike will cost as much, but as I said, by the summer I think Frankfurt won't be letting him go for less than £50 million, and so for those sort of prices, personally I'd just prefer to pay the extra £10 million or so for Matheus Cunha, as he is Premier League proven, having hit 12 goals in 32 games last season and 13 in 26 games this season, and that's for a relegation fighting Wolves side. Now Ekitike over the next 4 to 5 years may well turn out to have a higher ceiling than Cunha, but I think on current ability for the money, Cunha is the better option, and that's because he'd come in and provide the sort of goal scoring threat that we see from someone like Christopher Nkunku, the powerful ball carrying ability of someone like Ryan Gravenberch through the centre of the pitch, particularly dangerous on the transition, and the long-range shooting ability from outside of the box of someone like Bruno Fernandes. In a 3-5-2 and a front two with Osimhen and Xerxes as the option off the bench, for me that would be the perfect set of centre forwards, but also in a 3-4-3, Cunha also works very well as an interior forward on either side. In either system, Cunha could provide the forward movement via third man runs ahead of the centre forward's deeper movement, which would work particularly well with Xerxes, or into the space created when Osimhen spins out into the channel, looking to receive a direct ball and then powerfully progress the ball down the channel. But also out of possession, Cunha could be a threat when there's a turnover, and he has the space in front of him when he receives the ball and the opportunity to transition the attack quickly, which he has shown he's more than capable of doing for Wolves over the past few seasons, and it's probably one of his best attributes. And so just being a bit more of a reliable signing in terms of adapting to the Premier League, that's why I would prefer Cunha, also because of his ball carrying ability that he can use from a deeper position, with Ekitike being more threatening higher up the pitch, are the main reasons as to why I'd prefer United to replace Garnacho with Cunha. But to be fair, Cunha and Ekitike would play more as interior forwards or second strikers in the front two, so wouldn't necessarily be main centre forward alternatives to Osimhen, more like just Garnacho replacements or really and truly Garnacho upgrades. See, if Gyökeres and Osimhen are deemed too expensive, then United are going to have to make some concessions, either trading age profile for current ability or putting greater faith in potential compared with current output. Liam Delap's release clause for around £40 million when Ipswich get relegated does make that deal a lot more enticing, particularly if Ekitike is going to cost around £50 million. And Liam Delap stylistically would fit the bill for what Ruben Amorim wants in a centre forward, a blend between Osimhen and Harry Kane stylistically, having the pace and physicality to run the channels and either progress the ball forward on his own via his dribbling and progressive carrying, or hold up the ball and link play with his teammates. But also his dribbling and ball control is going to be a significant threat when running at a defender in the final third in a 1v1. In comparison to Rasmus Højlund, I think Liam Delap is definitely the superior player, and I think that's pretty obvious just from the eye test. Delap would allow United to go more direct, either with passes into his feet, chest or head with his back to goal, or down the channel for Delap to run onto. Whereas currently with Højlund, his technical ability and link play with his back to goal is inconsistent at best and a liability at worst. The area where you'd assume Højlund would have an edge would be goal scoring. However, I think Liam Delap has overtaken him in this area as well. And I think next season Delap is far more likely to pick up 15 plus Premier League goals for United compared with Højlund. See, the issue with Højlund is that he has an inability to create chances for himself on a regular basis, which is down to his movement but largely due to his technique being quite clunky in congested areas around the box, with him very rarely able to kill the ball dead on his first touch or manipulate the ball with quick footwork in order to open up an angle for a shot. Højlund, in my opinion, is overly reliant on scoring from first time finishes or when racing through in a 1v1, whereas Liam Delap has the ability to score from a variety of different situations, being quite similar to Gyökeres as well, in terms of how composed and comfortable he is when dribbling with the ball in and around the box, not being afraid to look to create a shooting angle himself or take an extra few touches in order to work a higher value shooting position. And from the eye test you can see that as an all-round centre forward, Delap is by far the better option than Højlund, and when you go over and look at both players' FBref reports, you start to see how underrated Liam Delap is compared to other strikers in his age bracket. Both players turned 22 in February, and this is Delap's first season in the Premier League as an established first team player, and he's playing for a side who are going to get relegated. So it's not even as though you could give Højlund the benefit of the doubt for the season that United have had. But just quickly before I show you both players' FBref reports, a quick reminder, I do have a Patreon, I upload articles on there. You can get a 7-day free trial and also sign up for the in-game Instagram group chat, so I'll leave that linked in the eye above, description, comment section, and on the end screen after the video. So when compared against all other forwards in the Premier League this season, Højlund ranks in just the 12th percentile for his non-penalty goals and the 4th percentile for his non-penalty XG, recording 0.18 per 90 for both stats, whilst Liam Delap ranks in the 26th percentile for his non-penalty XG and the 39th for his non-penalty goals, overperforming his non-penalty XG by 0.08 per 90 as well. Which clearly shows that statistically, despite playing in a side that has far less quality than the one that Højlund's in, Delap is still able to record around 0.1 more non-penalty XG per 90 than Højlund is at United. If United could sell Højlund for around £38 million and break even on the books, then I think Delap would be a good deal. I wouldn't go as far to say it's a great deal, as whilst Delap is one of the best young strikers in Europe at the moment and is Premier League proven, but after just one season I'm not sure whether he hits that elite level, especially in terms of being a 25 goal season consistent striker that United need within the next 2 to 3 seasons. I could see him getting to the elite level by 26 or 27, and I think he will be the man to succeed Kane in the England side, but £40 million is a sizable amount to spend, especially if Osimhen and Gyökeres are only £20 to £25 million more. If United wanted cheaper Osimhen alternatives who had the potential to hit 15 to 20 goals in the Premier League from next season, I think there are two massively underrated options, and the reason they're underrated is because of their age. Both are in their late 20s, but I think this is where the age obsession has hurt Manchester United, as people will completely disregard signing a player who's older than 27 or 28, even for the right price. But if you actually think about it, most strikers hit their peak between the ages of 28 and 32, sometimes even later. Van Persie improved massively as he got into his late 20s, really only developing into a truly elite level striker around 2010-2011, being the top scorer in his final season at Arsenal in 2011-12, and then getting the move to Manchester United at the age of 29. Gabriel Batistuta joined Roma in 2000 for a record fee for an over 30-year-old and went on to win the Scudetto that season. Lewandowski joining Barcelona well into his 30s, Kane at Bayern, the list goes on. Even look at the likes of Jamie Vardy, Luca Toni and even Mateta. And so just because a striker is 27 or 28 and hasn't been consistently putting up elite level goal scoring numbers doesn't mean that they can't reach that level. And some slightly older strikers that United could consider as Osimhen alternatives are Yusuf En-Nesyri at Fenerbahce, who I have previously made a video on, I'll leave it linked in the eye above, Alexander Sorloth at Atletico Madrid, and Patrick Schick at Bayer Leverkusen. I am going to do a separate video comparing Sorloth and Schick with players like Liam Delap and others in more detail, but in short I think from the eye test and statistically, All three of the options I've suggested, but especially Schick and Sorloth, have the potential to come in and start putting up the sort of numbers that we see from the likes of Haaland, Isaac and even Chris Wood this season. It would depend on the price however, as given their age profiles, they would have to cost less than £35 million. Otherwise, Delap at 22 and costing £40 million does start to seem like the better option. So let me know what you think of Liam Delap and subscribe to the channel and click the bell so you do get notified when that future video comes out. If you do want to check out any cheap, good quality football jerseys, go over to Jersey FIFA. You can use code Atlantis at checkout for a 10% discount. I'll leave it linked in the description and comment section below. And if you want to sign up to my Patreon to read any of my articles, I'll leave that linked on the end screen now as well.